All right, good morning, good people. Listen, um, I got a boots on the ground prime example how this romance in the Philippines can go sideways and cause you a world of trouble. I'm gonna try to make this as short as I can. I've been dealing with this all day long. Okay, listen, it's American. He talked to this girl over the internet, maybe almost 3 years. Okay, and she has a child. So at some point in the relationship, he assumed financial responsibilities for some of this child's needs. Uh, the, I believe the child was like maybe a year or something like that when he first met her. So um, she had some needs for the child. So he assumed these needs. So he sent her money occasionally, he said. Okay. So he made a plan with this girl that he wanted to have a baby and that they would have a relationship when he got there, and they would plan to have a baby because he wants a baby. And if the baby is his baby, then he would marry her. So all of this transpired, had the baby, married her, and you thought everything would have been good, right? No. Remember, I told you the Filipino hustle has long term, short term, and mid range hustles. Okay? Now, to me, I'm just giving you my feedback, what I think about this. Now, once he married her, uh, and when he got here, he was saying that her family was pressuring him to marry her. Like, he didn't want to marry her until he found out the baby was actually his, but they constantly pressured him to marry her. And so he says he took that as a good sign that, she must be, up to snuff. She must have some value. So he says he sped up his time schedule to marry her. He did find out that the baby was his. He did marry her. Okay. And after he married her, um, he got her own house. Now he has his house. He got her a separate house to live in. And while they were living in that house, he says that she would constantly have to go to her father's house. So, okay, we know the attachment with the family and so forth and so on. So that became a problem because she would not only go, but then she started staying 3, 4, 5 days a week at a time. And he has a new child. He really wanted a child, so that's like you can imagine he wants this child, but now this child is gone 4 or 5 days, sometimes weeks at a time, and so that kind of put a bitter taste in his mouth. What happened was the family pressed him about not letting her not letting her come and bring the kids there more often. And he said he blew a fuse because, how often do you want them to live there? So anyhow, one time they was gone for about 2 weeks, and he says the sister sent him an email saying that he needed to send money, and he needed to send her $1,000, thousand pesos for the electric bill. He said he did it, you know, and shortly after that, she came home. But then he said this last time her baby was sick, he said, and she wanted to go to her father's house. He says, hey, wait, don't go. Wait till the baby is well. Take the baby to the doctor, get the medicine, get her well, then you can go. So the baby got well, but then his baby got sick. And so he says, hey, no, don't go. She wanted to go to her father's then, which was about a week later, 7 days later, I believe he said. And he told her, no, don't go now. Wait until my baby is well. So she got her family on the phone and they did all this morale. And he told him, he says, okay, I'm telling her not to go. If she go, then I'm telling her don't come back here. Stay there with your family. And you all take care of her because you're interfering in my household, he said, and I'm paying the cost to be the boss here. So if you want her to do what you say, then you take care of her and her two babies. So he says he got in his car and he left. He went to his house. He went back to there. She was gone. So he says, well, yeah, of course, he's devastated. But she now has her family petitioning him for a separation. And mind you, the baby is 4 months old. The marriage is 6 months old, I believe. So now the family is petitioning him for a separation and for him to send money to cover their expenses. What does that sound like to you? Yeah, you're right. Long-term hustle. But unfortunately, there's lives, there's hearts, there's everything involved. And you got to remember, here's the deal. The hustle is about finding a source of income to maintain the person and to help their family. That's what the Filipino hustle is about. So what's the boundaries to the Filipino hustle? Well, it appears that there is no boundaries. It appears that there is no boundaries. You know, I've talked to guys who were literally sending money to the girl, and she was not only taking care of her family, but her boyfriend also. And when he found out, he was devastated. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that somebody would be so deviant and yet be such a, he said, I never forget this brother said, this was the most beautiful, honest person you would ever want to meet in your life. Go to church, all of that. They were Christians. Go to church, do everything. You see? I've talked to Muslim guys who've been scammed by Muslim girls. Filipino hustle by Muslim girls whose I found morality and character to be superior to any of the Filipinos that I've come across here. But yet and still, they too engage in the Filipino hustle to a scandalous state. A scandalous state of affairs. So what am I trying to tell you? Don't come here. Don't get involved in. No, I'm not trying to tell you that. What I'm trying to tell you is don't lead with your little head. Lead with your big head. Have a plan. Recognize red flags. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you're being hustled because they're going to give you what you want in order to hustle you. But what they do is, like this man, he wanted a baby and he didn't mind taking care of her. She was much younger, you see. But the concept of being hustled was not in his mindset. Why? Because he wasn't looking for a hustle. What he was looking for was to take a girl, have a baby, support her and her baby, and maybe contribute to a family when, you know, it was necessary. I had to turn my head because one of my subscribers wear earbuds, and he says when I cough, it just blows his ears off. So sorry about that. I hope I turned away far enough that it didn't blow your ears off. So, good people, listen. But you know what? This brother, he says, the brother with the baby, he says, brother, life goes on. He says, I can't let this get me down. He says, but one thing for sure and two for certain, I'm not paying her no money. I'm not giving her nothing. Because anything they need, I got it here in this house. And if they don't want to stay here, then wherever they stay, let them take care of them. Maybe she's got another someone online or whatever giving her money. And she just thought that she'd have this baby and that would add to the pot of gold. She would just collect the money and she's fine with that. She don't have no problem with that. But this brother said so far he hasn't sent her one centavo and refused to. Matter of fact, he don't even take her messages, he don't take her calls, he don't do nothing. He said he not gonna do it. He not gonna be played. He not gonna be hustled. And he not gonna let her use his baby to hustle him. Or any baby to hustle him. He says he thinks that's just low down. He's not going for it. So he says if she come here and the baby needs something, he'll gladly give it to him. But other than that, he's not sending no money to nobody's family, to nobody's Gcash, or none of that. He said he ain't doing it. He said he ain't doing it. So, good people here. Here's the thing. Help me get 5,000 subscribers. The other thing. Man, think. Red flags, wow factor. Don't succumb to the red flags because the wow factor is so astronomically fantastic. What's the wow factor? The wow factor is the good characteristic, the good personality of this Filipino, the things that you've been looking for, the things that you probably have never seen before, and you see in this Filipina, and you're wow. You're like, wow. It's incredible. And you don't think. You see, you don't think. You don't think, is this a hustle? Am I being hustled? Some instances you can't really tell you're being hustled, or you can't tell you're gonna be hustled. You see? But a Muslim woman told me that certain people, certain age groups, people in certain classes, like here they have classes, like class of people, different tribes of people, that those people are more certain tribes, certain people are more prone to do this type of thing, have this type of deviant, deceitful character than others. So, what does that mean? Know the tribe, know the clan that you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a group of people who may be considered on the bottom of the scale in the Philippines, then that group of people you need to be extra cautious of. According to a couple female women who are old enough to know and smart enough to have seen this type of thing before, experienced enough to have seen this type of thing before, with these different groups of people and different age groups. It was also emphasized that certain age groups now are more prone to be this type of Filipina that will scam in the most dubious of ways, and that seems to be so heartless. They have taken a script out of the West and they have manipulated it to the Asian persuasion. So, good people, come to the Philippines. All you have to do is be cautious and be aware. You won't have no problems. And if you have a problem, just remember, man, life goes on. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Those people who do those types of things, they're used to having nothing, they're nothing, and they will be happy remaining on that level of nothingness. So if you don't contribute to their well-being, they're still going to be happy. Why? Because that's what they're used to. They're used to not having a damn thing. In other words, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. A bum is a bum. A scammer is a scammer. Even though when you get here, it's going to be in such a package that you're not going to truly recognize it as a bum, as a scammer, as a nothing. But that's what it basically really is, if you break it down and you just honestly look at it. Now, I'm going to talk to this guy again. I'm going to find out about this girl. I want to find out, like, what clan is she from? What group of people do she belong to? Where do she live? You know, where do her family live? This type of thing. I'm going to find out to see if she fit the scenario of the low-class person in the Philippines and being of the scamming mentality. Okay? I'm gonna keep you updated, okay? Listen, don't forget, help me out. I need 5,000 subscribers. Tell your friends about me. Okay? Listen, one thing for sure and two for certain. When you help other people from the bottom of your heart, you what? Truly help yourself. God bless. Take care. See you guys tomorrow.